Hi students, welcome to our next module. This is the overview video for that, so I'm going to take just a few minutes and kind of show you what to expect and how to work the next module. So right now I'm in my student view, and my instructor view looks very similar but a little different. So I'm going to start here so you can kind of see what it looks like on your side when you have completed the module 0. You still have these two folders with resources, and I'm releasing the next module beneath those resources because I would like to keep those resources at the top kind of near so you can always see them and remember that they're there. So you will see a new module. This will be module 1, and what we're going to focus on this week is kind of some foundational skills. Think of this kind of like an introduction to college writing, and we'll be talking about how to build your critical learning toolkit. Most of what we do this week, we'll be kind of doing some interactive readings, some quizzes, and like I said, just kind of, and reflecting on what we learn, of course, but making sure we get that foundation set for you. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down. Now, this is what you might see if you have not completed the first module, which is module 0. So right now, you should have access to the overview. And the overview kind of tells you what we're going to cover, and it gives you this little note about how the release conditions work. Basically, you have to finish the items in the module 0 before you see content or content is accessible, okay? So if you don't see the week 2 pop up, go back and make sure you completed all of the things in there. Now, when you hover over the release conditions, it does show you and I'll show you that in just a second. So here's all the course learning outcomes and the module learning outcomes and kind of what is inside of our first module. We will spend 2 weeks, week 2 and week 3 in here. Okay, so if you go through and you see and you hover over where it says content isn't available, it tells you what you have to do before you can access that content. Right, so if you've already done module 0, this might not even be an issue for you. But if you're just coming in late and you're trying to go through the content, we want you to go through in the right order and make sure you have completed things before you go on to the next things. So this tells you the criteria and what needs to be completed before you do that. So some assignments in this module will also have that type of criteria, and I'll show you that on a different view. Okay, so I'm going to exit out of this because in my student view, it's not going to let me access the content because I'm not a student and I haven't completed the criteria. So we're going to go in my slightly messier instructor view. Looks similar, but it's a little bit, and there's more things there that you guys don't have access to just yet. I'm going to pop this open and show you guys what, okay, so right now, all you should have access to is week 2, okay? And so you have, this is the module where we just were, and now here's the release conditions for week 2. Okay, so that's what I was showing you guys on my side. And when you click on this, okay, you'll see, and when it allows you to open things, you'll start to see all of the content, right? So this is a unit overview. I post these every week, and they kind of show you specific things like, how much time should you expect to spend? Any little important notes like about the release conditions. And then of course, what exactly are we doing and how is this connected? All these different assessments we're doing, how is this connected to our learning, our module outcomes and our course outcomes? So you can always kind of tie back to that. Okay, and once you have the unit overview, then you can go into the videos. So I will link little videos before anything that I think is helpful or kind of gives you a little bit of an orientation or some context before you start doing assignments. So I will link 2 videos, and some of these videos are just ones I really like and think are easy, well produced, probably better produced than some of the videos I make, right? And so they will just give you, I think of them like little bite-sized pieces of information related to the course concepts that we're talking about. So you can kind of say, okay, yeah, now I have some understanding of what we're about to go into our assignments. So always make sure you watch those videos, and these videos are also going to be part of the criteria for our release conditions for the assignments. So you have a couple of videos to do. This is one, and they're short. And then you have a SmartBook overview tutorial. Now, you may have looked at this in the orientation, but I still want you to review it and just make sure you know how to do the assignments. Because SmartBooks are going to be our chapter readings, and these are the ones that are interactive, meaning you answer questions while you read, but you can also read first and answer questions. You get to choose how you want to answer your questions on these readings. But notice there are release conditions. So you have to look at this video before you move into the SmartBook assignment. Okay. Similarly, before you can do the chapter quiz, so these quizzes, you always have 2 attempts, but the quiz is going to be on the content in the chapter 1. So you need to earn 60 points or higher on the SmartBook chapter 1. And that is really easy to do because you just have to complete the assignment to get the score. So most of the time, everybody is able to get to 100% on these as long as you finish them. Because remember, the adaptive learning, the SmartBook type of assignments, they base your grade on completion. So if you just did 40% and quit, then you wouldn't get to the score you need. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that's how that works. And basically, once you've just completed and clicked on everything you're supposed to click on and look at, then you may take the quiz. Okay, so you have 2 of those to do this week. So after you do that, you'll have another video, okay, here on the rhetorical situation. That is the video you need to watch before you do the SmartBook reading. And then here you'll see that you have the before you get to the quiz, again, make sure you do the SmartBook reading and that you've looked at the video. Okay. And the last assignment, this is kind of our first writing experience here in our class. I know you guys did some in the discussion, but this is the first journal assignment that you will have. Now, journal assignments in Blackboard, they're kind of like discussions, but you're not interacting with your peers. You're basically writing and doing the work with an audience of, well, 2. You yourself get to see the journals, and then I get to see them. So they're private like assignments. But journals are places, they're not essays, they're not formal, huge assignments. Journals total, 10% of your total average. But you can earn full credit for following the instructions and meeting the word counts, and this is your space to practice. So I'm not going to be shredding you for not having the perfect grammar. This is supposed to be a safe space for you to kind of just think on paper, so to speak, or screen, and for you to, get things done and think about things and kind of pull it all together of what you've learned. Okay, so we will do quite a few. You'll have journal writing probably every week or almost every week throughout the semester. Okay, so in these assignments, you will see very specific instructions with word counts on what to do. Okay, I give you the purpose, I give you the instructions, I give you, a reminder about the AI rules, target word count, and then here's the actual prompt, right? Numbered with, what it is you're being asked to write about, and the evaluation criteria at the bottom. Okay, so like I said, the journal writing is to kind of pull what you've learned from the chapters together so you can have that foundational base before we move into our next chapters and before we get to the writing projects, which will be in our next module. So you have week 2, week 3, where we're laying down this foundational, and then when we wrap up this module, we'll be moving on into our first writing project. Okay, all right, y'all. Well, I hope you have a good second week of class, I will be on standby. If you have questions or if you get stuck, if you don't meet these release conditions for some reason, just shoot me an email and I'll help you figure it out. But I hope you have a wonderful second week.